I've been upfront about it. I want Donald Trump to come back. I'd love to see him as president again. I thought we'd have to wait until at least the midterms closer to or 2024 before we really saw him out there. No, just turn on the fake news any day, especially on Sundays when they have their big political talk shows. And boy, do they love to talk about Trump. They love to hate him. And they're really frustrated right now because January 6th, all the hype about January 6th did not do what they intended it to do, which would be cancel Donald Trump. They wanted this to stigmatize the former president so bad, and they're actually openly marveling that their plan didn't work.
I'm a pretty cynical guy. I've been doing this a long time. On January 7th, 2021, I think I'm guessing you were there too. I really thought, okay, this is it. This is the breaking point. Lindsey Graham, enough is enough. Count me out. That it all felt like a moment. How did a year later we go to a Republican Party that is more in the grips of Donald Trump?
Because we love the guy and we trust him. And you guys, the fake news, have been lying to us for decades, all right? And you've gone into overdrive recently. We like Donald Trump, all right? Get that through your heads. We know him. We saw him do what he promised he would, you know, fighting for us. That wasn't some silly bumper sticker. We saw him do it every single day. So they can't stop Trump. They're trying to stop us. And you know how you do that these days? Call anybody a racist, and you're supposed to be canceled forever, all right? So they're taking racism and white supremacy to the next level. By the way, both are bad, but both are not particularly significant, in my opinion, and actually, especially regarding white supremacy, according to the FBI. Anyway, look at the new legislation they've been pushing. It sounds great, all right? H.R. 350, and what would it do? To authorize dedicated domestic terrorism offices within the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Great. I hate domestic terrorism. But how do they define domestic terrorism? Oh, yeah. It's all about white supremacists and neo-Nazis. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists. White supremacists. Nothing in here about BLM. Nothing in here about Antifa. It's all about white supremacists. And I'm sure there are a handful of those weirdos in this country. And if they break the law, they should be arrested right away. It's just not a thing. All right. So they keep inventing it. They keep lying about it. Even those Proud Boys, the Proud Boys is not a white supremacist group, all right? It's not. It is a fake news lie that caught on. By the way, they can't explain Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys, who's of Afro-Cuban descent. And oh, by the way, he's in jail right now. Why? Because he burned a Black Lives Matter sign. Can you believe that one? All right, so somehow Enrique is a white supremacist. Let's see. Candace Owens is a white supremacist. Larry Elder recently ran for governor in California, a white supremacist. And this one is actually particularly galling because I happen to know him and I happen to think he's a very decent guy. Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist. It is now a joke. Something horrible. Something ugly, white supremacy is now a joke because they're accusing everybody they don't agree with of being a white supremacist.
According to the intelligence community, terrorism from white supremacy is the most lethal threat to the homeland today.
One of the greatest threats to our national security is domestic terrorism manifested by white supremacists.
I obviously am very concerned about the rise of extremism and extremism related to white supremacy.
The FBI has warned repeatedly that domestic terrorism fueled by white supremacy is the #1 threat to the United States right now.
White supremacy is the biggest bucket of concern when it comes to domestic terrorism.
Okay, that's not true. It's not true. Talk to the law enforcement experts, okay? Islamic extremists, they still want to hurt this country. They do. You can deny it. Antifa, BLM, they hurt this country every day for a year and a half. But they say white supremacy, especially Democrats, when they're in a jam. Now, here in New York, we have a new mayor. He's not up to the job, all right? I am not impressed with this guy. Anyway, he's making all kinds of silly appointments, nepotism galore. He wants to make his brother the deputy commissioner of the police department. That's a big stretch. Listen to his reasoning.
You've appointed your brother, a fellow retired police officer, as a deputy commissioner for the NYPD. Is that true? And if so, doesn't that at least violate the spirit of the law in New York, which says public servants, friends, and family members should not benefit from their positions?
My brother is qualified for the position. Number one, he will be in charge of my security, which is extremely important to me in a time when we see an increase in white supremacy and hate crimes. I have to take my security in a very serious way.
An increase in white supremacy. So I live in this city, all right? There is an increase in crime, all right? It's not coming from white supremacists, all right? It's just not. It happens to be coming from people of color, quite frankly. It's undeniable. It's there, all right? Not white supremacy. So his brother is going to be the new deputy police commissioner. He's not qualified, of course. Take a look. Well, maybe he is. Maybe I'm being too harsh. He is, after all, just off a big job as the assistant director of parking for Virginia Commonwealth University, the Monroe campus, handing out parking passes, arranging for the assistant dean to park close to the building. All right, that was his job. But that's what you do. You claim white supremacy when you can't explain an appointment or when you're in trouble politically, like Governor Murphy did in a recent debate when it was looking very bleak for him in terms of re-election. What did he do?
There's so much on the ballot. There's so much at stake. Do we stand with our sacred democracy, or do we stand with Confederate flags and white supremacists and a pack of lies? Do we stand? Do we continue? Do we continue to make the tough?
I wish we could hear that noise whenever the fake news started talking about white supremacy and that Trump supporters are somehow white supremacists, because that's how we feel. It's nonsense. It's a disgusting charge. You might even call it a false flag. False flag. Have you heard about this? A false flag, a hostile or harmful action that is designed to look like it was perpetrated by someone other than the person or group responsible for it. I think there's something to that, and we're also seeing that.